제송대 심진기 동al 유 랑라 랑고니 니제 곰버자바 인라 대양 렘베군 랑기 귤레 개와치마 펜체 조원교회 군중 레당 연mon당 동al 로와 리암 두두 녀원교와 탐제 지 자와진도 나부 세치니 년랭기 풍보디 당도 라니스 다 로와 리암 두 세디갈라 가사 하단 하마이니 찌드잖아 로아리 nga 다들 저는 로아리 두 와다도 사고래 와다 년랭이 풍보스도 갈라 당원에 저왕아라서 년랭이 녀월렘be 풍보스데 단지 동안 된지 치마니 동안 대발제 바보지 자기도 풍보데 디왕기 녀몽 기거래 같이 풍보는 녀몽 같이 기거 대왕gel랭 바사고래 단다에니 베녀몽 동안된 마마세 치마 동안된 제레세다도 김고름 지안에 무송도 와다 되리가라 남바상게데 크로와즈 다른 뭐지 선어다 라 수수 레딩 모왕기 람베 풍부지 인친젤라 디 난기두덴 크로와든 지리 디디가라 크로와스디가라 다른 뭐지 삼당고가 말아 와다 되게데 와다 가지 레딩 모왕기 풍부랭이 만드나 다 오늘 알아서 누구고반 톰불에 잘 맞으나 저와라까지 투투지 레장 니제다 대소 니제와데 시부지 개침보래 거다 디차거래 치마 편지도 군중 두부동al 멀리와 방어라 사모 언다때 근데 삼다 양양도 삼다네 즉 다기 로라 곰디 땡고 거라 삼세대 차르지 삼바카르죠 말에 곰디 땡이 양양도 삼당고 때 차고래 대한 로치마 펜제 신주 딜라 중의 중얼교회 동al 탐제 자진 발료 내갑기 년랭기 분배상도 낸 라나 상 친제 동al 멀리바 ndavar samo sewa 어떠진도 다와치마 상망 펜제기 동al 군중 탐제 때 리기 년랭기 분배상도 라네 상낭 펜제 동al 멀리와 다var samo 대양 젠기 동al 랑나 젠두 밍어라 제밤 랑기 갑둔 조바토부 민기 렘바니 랑진진 순충이 체임베 랑긴 닝네도 나와르차디 잠베까지 셰바타르 심정야와 동al 지부 동al 탐제 진진 자진도라나 뭐 랑이 이상도 랑 진진 기상도 루티미네 투르데지 심정야와 때다 탐제 동al 멀리와 잡을 사모 다디 바게 땅을 갖돌아 마보진 조사다 지 거기 동al 엘라페 냐와발라 타네 냐와발라 인페 지 데와탄 덴소 창열 발라타네 시외 데와탄 덴소 창열 발라타네 사회 조이 에네페 시외 사회 동al 다타네 시외 데와탄 덴소 냐데 삼다야가 왔다 때나지지 또 카페네 에 딜레네 네 베텔라 네페 냐와파지 레렘바이나 냐 창열 바지기니 동al랑게 렘바이나 창열 발라 레니 데베페 랑기 레네 니 베텔라 시외 레차단덴바 레와단덴바 왔다 두 삼당고 거래 두 삼당이나 뭐네 파저기 동al 카둘레 렌투고 마레티 카보데 덴덴년 로저 스타도 마레테 해야다 랑 수수 랑 친친들라 덴덴 누그리 골차지 덴덴 슈투 그래 랑 친친들라 수수 로게 양을 쳐그래 수수 상로 코르체 로그래 수수 미바 양 로디가라 수수 세메산에 지데데 베메드 그게 차려 인디가라 뭐네 돈랭이 미바제데 게 침부 차려래 보다 두스지네 사치 미자 말에 야네 양도 삼당고 양도 삼다 두스지베이나 대야 튠데지 중에나 튠다른 뭐 생겨 말에 방법 장엔도 튠다 통통제 통통 제발라 아니 배 니 파기 니남 살데데 살고 짱마 야보지 rumfupe tang ma chebe ngone teni pe tunda di zumbaina ene jama do sine tunda ta tramang buche wa de ke chimbori tramang buchi tunda tung tung che ene so so pe komdi cheri cheri de ene tunda ring ru dan do sine ene ya tingi sebu tu yendi gala ene pe ninja chigi jisha chigi sidoa chuzo jishizo tende ki de tu go are tende 경거무지 통우 캠베나라 단답에 시셔진이 여수수도와 어떤 다람살아 원바 먹고요 되겠는 땡땡이요 근데 이 단대에 있는 다람살아 요이나 땅 안한 저기라 수수 맞을 마도 일이 버려 마도 수수지나 일이 깨지 긴 땡땡 자리 좀 골발레 주나 곰디 태야지요 어디 대상가서 모빌 타겨대 세 운종을 해야 돼. 따다지 책임도 돼. 팽팽이도 와. 따다지 맞지나요. 따다지는 때려 잠텐체도 그러고. 어떻게 빼빼 전부래.
Continue with the reading text on page 73, right below the quote from 7-point mind training. So firstly, as it says, we should meditate on compassion by taking from sentient beings their sufferings and causes of their suffering. Begin by taking upon yourself all your own actions and disturbing emotions and the sufferings that you will have to experience as a result in future lives in any of the 5 or 6 states of existence. So, as we see in the quote, begin by taking from yourself, taking your own suffering of future. Wherever you're reborn, here we see 5 or 6 states of existence, or 5 or 6 realms. And if you consider, the God or deity, or semi-God or semi-deity, as sometimes these two are counted as a one. If you count as a one, then they are 5. If you separate those two, then they are, 6 realms. Imagine that these form black heaps, similar to trimmings of hair, upon your present mental and physical aggregates, and think that you are thereby freed from these sufferings and their causes in all future lives. Similarly, imagine that you accept the sufferings and sources of suffering of tomorrow, the day after that, the coming months, the years, and the rest of your life upon your present temporary aggregates of today, this month, and this year, and think that you thereby free yourself from all misery from tomorrow onwards. The aggregate, here I think probably this is the translation, present temporary aggregates of today. When we look at the literally the words of in the Tibetan language, we find this expression, contaminated, definitely going to attain, aggregate. So aggregate which is contaminated, yet definitely going to attain. So definitely going to attain here means, this being body being under the power of karmic action and influence. As long as you are under the power of karmic action and influence, you are going to definitely attain the same kind of experiences, the suffering kind of, coming back to cycle again and again. So just from the, the label of the name of this aggregate, the way we see in Tibetan language, it has a very kind of clear connotation of, by nature, being kind of suffering. So, here, when we talk about, suffering of cyclic existence, we don't need to see look at far or out there how, others are suffering, but you can look at your own self as an individual, as we see here, the contaminated aggregate which is definitely going to kind of experience the same, suffering again and again. And so this is a internal, what we call internal, truth of suffering, or internal true suffering. So in a sense, the internal true suffering, our own experience, or the way we kind of, go through this cycle, once you yourself are, a cyclic existence. It doesn't have to be out there. So you are cyclic existence. You're aggregate. And so if you don't want to be conditioned by such kind of, suffering, and if you don't want to be again kind of, have this body and therefore going through all those suffering, then what you can do is, if not kind of, a great spiritual practice, but at least engaging as much as we can in the practice of, compassion. In taking all the sufferings of others upon yourself, you should not keep them in some inconspicuous place, but in your heart, since the very purpose of accepting them is to eradicate your self-centered attitude. So as you see here, kind of taking all those suffering to yourself. And again, including kind of taking your own suffering from the future. When you take suffering from others, you won't see kind of immediate benefit of, kind of others freeing from suffering when you take that. But there's a great benefit in kind of diminishing your own this self-centeredness, ego mind. And of course there are, benefits of accumulating positive merits. But the immediate benefit is kind of diminishing, reducing this kind of obvious self-centered attitude, or egocentric mind, or self-cherishing thought. As explained during the meditation on love, you should accept all the originating and resultant suffering of the denizens of hell at your heart, like heaps of black hair trimmings. Think that your selfish attitude is mellowed and subdued, and at the denizens of hell are freed of all suffering without exception. So when you kind of visualize, depending on what the specific target are, when you visualize, say, an example of embracing and receiving the suffering of, our lower realms, such as hell, as we mentioned earlier, when you are aiming at the hell, within the hell there are extreme cold, extreme suffering from extreme, heat, and you visualize kind of, for suffering from extreme heat, you visualize receiving all those heat and then giving away kind of cold. So individual entities has a different ways of kind of dealing with your taking and giving practice based on that specific target that you are aiming at that specific moment of your practice. And when you do this practice, as we have been saying before, through visualization, to begin with, it's always good to kind of have a short session, yet try to have a very clear picture in your mind of this, visualization, clear picture. And once you get more used to it, then you can extend the duration. And once you get used to that clear image of visualization, you extend the duration of your meditation. And His Holiness talks about some of his friends, when they extend, usually kind of the practice that there's 1/4 of the 12 hours. 시제직을 주수 중에는 시제직 성공이죠.
주수 중인 니자진이 주시 중이 시시직
주수 니자진이 시제직을 오래. 1/4 of 24 hours, and that would be like 6 hours, meditation, and able to maintain clear kind of focused on one's object continuously for 6 hours, which is it's a kind of quite long time, be able to maintain that kind of single pointedness. And he used to say that there are some friends that he know in Dharamsala, northern India, who do this kind of practice. And so if there are such kind of practitioners out there, we can also kind of make an effort and try to attain what can be attainable by others. And English was talking about the movie that he saw about exhaling and breathing meditation, exhaling and inhaling. Although in the movie he was saying that they are kind of exhaling and inhaling, very making strong noises, but still you can see the result, of practitioners maintaining or developing, single pointedness of the mind.
대신도 처진지 된게 감나 이다 징이지 여반남당 돈도 징이지 여반남당 다들 봐 심전 장지나 냐와 마셔 대드니 이다 마셔 드니 돈도 마셔 드니 미 드니 라마인 드니 라 도스지니 시도와 가르잖아 리톱때 니게 왔당 톱쳐서 쟁인데 망인사 냐와 마신 바래 니게 와대 징쟁인데 이자기 미그 중국대 등로 해결. 그 자체는 기무슨 난 도시네. 완전 숨죽지 비슷도 와. 보다 대난다. 미엔 다 라마인데 대화법 최종반에 독수리. 라라. 대화법 전부제 인상 따디 레 텐데 시우진 대연 부름 줘봐요래. 깨마터도 레 랑라 에요래. 징부요래. 메도 dumra요래. And be mami loto beba mi longche atendi ore ta le dungal de chibu tungi dungal sidugala halle dungal de tedi be tamboni shibuji rawa zaje ke ga 가져 이지 le tenlane longche ne zosun ta thama de be chiondugala leba de kareli ore migo de mata le omare migo de le men migo dung migo 다 리불라 나송레 깨야마다 레메인자 나송레 깨야데 니마 니자 든지물라 콩강도 깨베네 모토그에서 하고에서 동al 빠도 치부동에 동al 세도와 라마인라 탑제 미레 깨가네 지동al 세고래 딘데라 미기 밀라 동al 메바 까자 마레 밀라 동al 요르데 니 남주티 동al 단다 셀 투비야 에니페 단다 잠마인 심한 펜젤라 동al 셀 투비게 남쪽이 밀려요 인사 미대 시우지 류텐데 풀도 중아 라도 중에 류텐질 지기도 와 다르게 저주주 밀리를 못 쳤대 리모치 지기도 와 밀리 여텔레 리모치 지기도 다 밀리 지부진 밀리 퍼바 밀리 리모치 밀리 되나 숨치기도 와 그랬더니 나나도 딱 오니 메도나네 베마 카르보 더부차디요 달린 토바 다른 사람 인기를 밀리토야. 어떻게 인디가라? 간지 밀리토바데 톨라 추수수 마다지 톨라 마다지 고갑라 단진지에 시부지 개체 모르. 고갑때 뒤도 만선한 다사선을 로딩하여 말와. 고갑 사지 라바데 투셔다베이나 수수 경으로 와. 어떻게 인디가라? 시부지 데톨라 낸덴제 거래. 뭐디 개버두스 시기도 돈도남당 링지 링텐 예니 민로가 찐이지 바난다 야chen 지리기 남 돌라리 두당 차리 렌디부치웨 주감네리 중이 시디가라 따테리 지단네 주감네리 주딘시게 주딘은 데니 중이마다 시기미도 나데 파베네 자레 제자 이노 소케네자 중이도 마다 시고 말에 어떻게 디케버치게 심진징이지 마 여바난다 zumekeji muji ta zumekeji muji za namkata enam cheta ichi ame sitse jide jingi ji banam yunde yukunjung dibu dunga tam jigin dingji ji sawajindo rangi ninge nado ngarjin lane rang chinjin la rumte mini turdu se semjenda ta tamje dungal kunjung maliba dalwar samong oda duschine yani do samlata 아니 니버 니남 두신 장나 펜더여레스 순거래 디진도 단디버돌로다나 말해 디진도 시바 파르티 둥알 라웨 나르진 사모 데나 야 시바 파르토된 로아 리투나 togo marta kasan jura siba parton romato sede inda tawe china te sore doa ritu bokano kaya mara siba parto wala kona doa ritu ke parto tu mandayo Tenekiji ribe semjen lungal la nyumu lungal dan cheta nam sosoni midi chewarche. Rereni lanshin te dada dawar samna netu cheo. Lam o netu cheo state porto da lama shu kansala ne pe ki dungal lentante so niji mi ba tsalto tani dungal lentante te sungu do wada tu sichine.
In a similar way, take on the originating and resultant sufferings of all the hungry spirits, animals, and human beings of the 4 continents and the 8 subcontinents. The 6 categories of gods of desire, such as gods of the 4 great kings, the 12 categories of gods of form, from the Brahma family to the great result, and the beings of the 4 states of formless realm, from all the worldly realms throughout the 10 directions, no matter how many they are. So when we look at the 6 realms or 6 migrators, hell being, and then hungry spirits, animals, human, semi-god, and God. Those 6, it is from the perspective of gathering of non-virtuous action. It is considered that the lowest realm, that is hell being, in terms of population, the hell being is considered as the most populated because of the negative activities that they have created, and then it goes kind of it reduces the population. Lesser in hungry goes less in then animal, much lesser in human, and then goes less in semi-god and then God. When we look at this sequence, we see that the God or deity is the result of accumulations of highest positive activities. And the result we see here is that they, unlike human, they have a luxurious, kind of sort of material wealth, and that the way they're born, they can engage in luxurious or pleasurable lifestyle without making any effort. But at the same time, when we look at the suffering of all these 6 realms, we see the suffering of God realm as immense suffering of suffering, death, and dying. Basically, we find that the God realm, they somehow realizes that they're going to die before like a week, and then they see, having kind of used up all of their result of positive actions, now they see they're going to fall back in the lowest kind of realm. So they foresee all the sufferings, and then the future rebirth, and then they go through kind of immense unbearable suffering of death and dying. In terms of human, of course, we have our own different types of suffering, but however, among the 6 realms, it is considered that the human form is the highest form, the perfect or the best form of in the cyclic existence, purely because of our intelligence, ability of our kind of this mind, and not only we have a kind of capacity or intelligence to deal with the immediate problems, but we can deal with kind of future potential problems and sufferings. So therefore, it's common to see in Buddhist texts that human rebirth is considered as a sacred, precious jewel, extremely rare. It's rare like white lotus among many different flowers, and the point here is that because of its rarity, its sacredness, its preciousness, we should be using this rare lifetime in a meaningful way and not wasting it when we have this opportunity. Uh, Sungme kargiri
lamjung gotel jai
ale.
tichundu men jashun de sare
This ale ngati samas nela.
yeah.
4 states of the formless realm. 4 states of formless realm we count as unlimited space, unlimited consciousness, then sort of like nothingness, and then the peak of the psychic existence of, and likewise at the end of this apply the same mode of thought by taking on the miseries of beings in the intermediate state. So intermediate state, is not considered as the intermediate state is not considered as one of the realm. Intermediate state, likewise, there are 6 realms. There could be also 6 different intermediate state, and as we mentioned in earlier teachings that it is not considered as one of the realm based on the text Abhidharma Kosh, Treatise of Knowledge. So up to here we finish the practice or visualizations of taking in related with the practitioners who are not actually engaged in the path, the path. And now next we see, once you are engaged in the path, then how can you again do the same practice of visualizations in taking the sufferings of others. This lotion is it?
Yeah, that the good lama jugue that pagi dungal leya that lamju kanzala is dungal leya kare lamju la senata nyanda jubaini nyumon pang ani tijin that papa ina tijin sogi na tijin papa ina that hongi ngosum to tore tarun tele lengi dungal kare na san kor미샤예요 말을 뭐 거래요. 이거는 코로나 코린 초시래. 어디 두시네. 어디 인연한다 좀비 요모도 말해. 대된 말해. 시진디바 밤에 인상 더둥 될라니 배 시진디비 왕기 시디비 왕기 중에 누가 막 보시 되게 담아요. 에이 니랑 링이 있나? 대진 링이 있나? 동이 무슨 따다 바바 차바래 동이 무슨 따이래 디전 돈람 토마 타바래 디진 바바 차바래 원장 사림바버도 곰람 사림바버도 뉴몬 빠야마도 시지티 바바이랑 고좀 거 말해 뉴몬나 판다 판진 바도 차디요래 님보던데 땡진 바 차디요래 또 동동알 망부지요래 곰람 사게바 사게베 곰람이 이시나야 우비 이시나야 녀모도 판자니다 소dum바니 녀몽 판 시디 판랑 고좀 거래 이나야 시디 긴 디바여 인사 대왕기 동알 와다 단 다좀 도방은 소이나 냉엘링기 디바색도 작도 와 와다 텐디기 디바티기 뭐보지 판요 어디 티기티가 갈랭 거 내야 돼 와다 티기티로 마도 빵심바데 레야요 말와 티나 상이가 내래 주고 거래 때 말해 어디 두스지니 뭐 바시고 거래 람주 녀랑 람갈라네바 탐제당 티진 곰람 민체 남장 황자 루군 중세 제점여발라 렘베 수가 셰퍼자오 세워다 되지 상이 좀 된다 남라 투길에 링귀지양 매징 라마 상이 영어르터부 숨바 대동 총소 랑기 틴진자발 자벨라 마이네 베 상기 응올라 따투비나 대가네래 요마르 상기 좀 된다 가버리 이제버래 따티 시디갈라 케체버래 라마데 상기 따투비나 상기 응외기 틀린 주고요 제버래 라마 장선 다는 장선 응외기 틀린 주고요 라게래 라마 소기 있다나 소기 있다베 펜바가 주지네 되게 지운 거예요 세순거로 어때 되게 양 kengoya chagore odudusin tinija chan mare.
We will stop after this part. This actually the part of the reading goes to the previous section. Somebody who is not engaged or abide in the path, five path. It is worthwhile to think bravely of taking on each and every suffering distinctly, in general and in particular, as well as their origins in actions and disturbing emotions, from all sentient beings of the four kinds of birth, and to think of freeing them from them. Now up to here we finish the path, and now from this onwards, just like the half of this paragraph deals with the practitioners who are already engaged in the path, five path, and those practitioners could be such as as mentioned here, hearers, solitary realizers, Aryas, noble beings. It could be the ordinary, those who are engaged in the path, and hearers and solitary realizers. For example, they have considered as they have eliminated all afflictions, but they still, however, are slight or subtle obscurations, and because of subtle obscurations, the assumption is that there are subtle sufferings that they need to be eliminated. Likewise, somebody noble beings or Aryas who have attained wisdom realizing emptiness, but they have still slight obscurations to be eliminated. And in terms of practitioners of higher vehicle, those who have attained the path of seeing, or those who attain from the 10 bhumis or 10 ground, the seventh, again they are considered as they eliminated from the two obscurations, the delusive obscurations. However, they are in the process of eliminating cognitive obscurations, and therefore they are kind of slight or subtle sufferings that through visualizations you can do the practice of taking and giving. And so these are the kind of the point that is talking in this one paragraph. Even for four destroyers, those who have totally destroyed afflictions or defilements, they are subtle obscurations that they need to be eliminating. So since the hearers and solitary realizers abiding on any of the five paths and practitioners of the great vehicle below the path of meditation possess slight sufferings and their origins, the manner of taking these on is as before. There is nothing to be taken from the hearts of the Buddhas, nor from your own spiritual masters, for we are taught to identify them with the Buddhas. So the last section, it's kind of you can see the your kind of way of considerations of your spiritual teacher. It is considered that if you look at your teacher and consider it as sort of equal to enlightened being, likewise you receive the same kind of blessings, or and if you look at your spiritual teacher as like a bodhisattva, noble being, you receive likewise the blessings, or and if you look at your teacher as and consider as just ordinary another human being, likewise the response will be the same of ordinary human being. And we will stop here for today. You can ask questions if you have. Yeah.
I've read a book that talks about positive karma, negative karma, and neutral karma. What exactly would be like a neutral karma?
Kuran thep jilo anse thep di nang lo thanda le kyunje ko le gewa da me gewa da en tanyum la sum dire jo sto tanyum la din khade jor ko worsa
tanyum dire da chawa de chini dungal mindeng ki dungal dembar chabetala le dele le miga ware chawa de chini dewan dingi na le de gaware chawa de chini dedu kan dingi na le de le tanyum re
Uh, when we look at the karmic nature from the perspective of result, we can say that whatever activities when you create it, if it ends up in bringing suffering, then we can say that activities is negative, you know. And if activities that created when ends up in bringing happiness, we can say a positive karma. And there could be activities, you know, when created end up in bringing neither, you know, happiness nor suffering. And we consider those kind of karmic action as a neutral.
le khurang wonen dos chigire serwa tayan susu kulongone le gewa migewa lungma den sungalan doya yore janten susu te jawaji chigina 미지를 내야게 돈달 지기나 다디 자와데 그 미고에 계시게 담바라와 내니 지를 펜더도 위했던데 지제바이나니 저와 계시게 담바라와 다데 가야 멤버지 때때 펜을 가야 내면이 벤소리지 되게 자샤이나 다 자와데 제바데 되게다 펜을 가야 내 엄마라와 미고라와 그놈고 가야 그놈 예미게 그런 감동 주요 말아서 진행되는 제시할 때비 펜도께 두야 메켄지나 다티 누마든 작고 얼마도 꽤 말아.
The one we mentioned before is understanding from the the nature of the karmic action itself. We can also have the karmic action in related to the motivation. Again, we can see if you have a motivation of hatred and want to harm somebody else, and with that motivation, when you actually engage in the action and produces the result, that karmic action is completely negative. And out of negative hatred, but you can have something end up in a positive, very positive action. And but with that kind of hatred, although you have a motivated, but if you don't kind of make it manifested, if it leads kind of without any result, it could stay as a neutral without making any positive or negative impact. Yeah, Matt.
Can Geshe-la elaborate a little bit more on how compassion is renunciation turned outward?
저 대해서 하다보다 닝제들로 닝제디 같이 그것도 예중 삼바죠라 대파 같이 될로선 심발 대신에 엔타들로 닝제 닝제의 냠내 제죠라 닝제 차도글라 당기 직송서서 대골 대스 망성 치료서
아무튼 기둥을 삼다니 라인에 배 중간 때라 탄대기 로치와나 들어올로데 민중으로 다이 중간때 전도를 카페니 아니 전 중간 땅대기 로치와나 그래서 니지 좀 잡아요 니지 잡아요
So
란도라 중간 삼다나 중간 모자 쳐야 릴라 쉬워요 친구
when you look at your own suffering as an object of observation or target, and then you generate desire to free from it, you are looking at your own suffering, but there is a sense of feeling or desire of freedom or liberation. Then, as we mentioned before, it's called renunciation. And when you use your own experience, your own suffering, it's much more easier to kind of identify and to understand. But when you kind of change the object of observation or target, so when you kind of direct that towards others, and then have the same basically feeling that may they be free from suffering, and that is what, as we mentioned before, it becomes a compassion. 인디가라 이거 민중데 사이에
yu romi yu nizo ya chanchu ki tawa nishi chenpo de sangi yu mara tabyo ma ku chanchu ki semgi ngoyu ba tome de chabi ya tabyo ma de jirum bu jiga ben lamjene di suwa ninjung de nanda semgi ki zimbe ne mena chanchu mindu ke tuzo tewi yu minro se suwa 원래 다들 가르쳐 보래. 민중데 난다 성기기 맞이나 니 상기 주체 누구 말해서 다 지금 숨도 아니랑 다 좀 밑부터 해야 되는데 이런 쪽으로 와. 근데 야라 레라요네. 그 상기 유로 민중 니서 차. 아 전주기 단디 니지 첨부도 봐. 용한들랑 뭐저 최고 보내 이제라 카페니 니 니지 공부이나 이 상기 그 계속 개통을 줘야 돼. 저번 친구도 왔을 때.
In terms of when you look at the renunciation, which is of your own renunciation and compassion towards others, there's a great differences from the perspective of leading, to like ultimate enlightenment. Renunciation, when you generate a renunciation, wanting to free yourself from your own suffering, there is no basically guarantee that renunciation will lead to enlightenment. But when you have a compassion, then that compassion is considered that will kind of lead to the ultimate enlightenment. So in the Lama Tsongkhapa's text, we see mention such as, renunciation when it is not accompanied by genuine altruism, that kind of renunciation won't become the seed of ultimate enlightenment. So we can see how the sort of power of differences between these two, the renunciation and compassion. Yeah.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
During the practice of taking, I find it impossible to imagine the scope of the suffering of all beings, and I find the instruction to take that suffering as sort of a medicine to oppose your own self-cherishing is very helpful. So my question is, in a similar way, is it helpful to take that suffering as a reminder of your own emptiness, as your personal emptiness, and that if I'm taking on the suffering, who's taking on that suffering? Is that helpful?
Mm-hmm. Tanda tonglen kabla lembe kabla any Quran da ushashina simjen thamje ki dungye chu len choro dadi Quran gi Quran la samdang di takala gore chigi len thube di misiba da ushashasa sa ine ge digi nyamlen di chigi jama da tongni gi samdo da ushtang suna da di kakalo Quran la penthabu da ushtu la gusare da chigi len di jama lengen khangsa khande me da di chejiro chigiro lengen sui me khades lengen me digi tongni di samdo samdang di ane yang Quran la kala gore di penthabu da ushtus the chiwa kalo chiwa de dance cheza din de samdan ne pentogo yo ro sto and do samdan de jigu na to shlo mero
어떻게 가보대 문에 가보래 대인도가 가보 있네나 렌도 그림 란 잠제 친구야 다 펜도 강체도 또 쳐서 수수 놀래 이 구어지나 펜도 연구야나 이펜 이거 해서 와 이거는 이거
so it is kind of sort of impossible beyond our kind of ability or capacity. For that reason, for that very reason, we see begin taking your own suffering, so begin from yourself, not kind of others. And And Geshe-la is saying here that whatever kind of benefits, when you're doing the practice of taking, whatever that you think is kind of helpful in kind of making your embracing or taking successful, definitely it should be okay to use that understanding, even if that is kind of understanding of emptiness. Um, of course, the understanding of emptiness itself is something that is not easy. When we look at the understanding of emptiness, merely ending up in not finding or merely unfindable, that much we can have some understanding, some sense, But the important part here is that on the other side of that is when we say intrinsically exist or truly exist, then trying to find and basically the limitation of how it is truly exist. That is more difficult, when you try to find that kind of aspect. And His Holiness was kind of in discussion with scientists, he says that in finding, for example, analyzing, the what we call partless particle, this when you try to find, say, the object and then break it down at smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, that understanding would be helpful in understanding the nature of emptiness. Although it is a big solid object, but when you try to break it down, when you go farther and farther, you reach the point where it is not findable. And Geshe-la was also saying, for example, it is also kind of helpful when you look at the computer screen, when you see maybe a big dot color, and if you're trying to focus it to go closer and closer and closer, that color that you are seeing at the beginning is not findable, basically, as you go more further, more deeper. But the another again aspect here is which scientifically sort of not findable. In Buddhism, we talk about, although on the one hand, all things are lack of independent intrinsic true nature, but on the other hand, if you ask then how do they exist, we say conventional existence. They exist merely at the level of designation and labeling, and those exist. They exist without putting under any analysis. So if you just leave as it is, that is enough. Things works perfectly. But somehow we don't see that kind of conclusion through scientific examination, and that kind of what we call conventional truth, conventional existence. They are truth. They exist. They function, and we find different kind of logics to kind of prove that things exist conventionally, merely at the level. And again, in order to have a conventional existence, it must be based on what we call valid, reasonings. So, these are the kind of important aspects when we talk or when we, look at the understanding of emptiness. Okay, last question. Okay.
Is it okay to relate suffering with karma?
Mm-hmm.
If you change your activities or karma, is it possible to diminish your suffering?
Le jumde da dunge jora da so le jumde karma la de karma le jumde nam digi chedan gyo shin sune ne del ba dunge de me o se tu yor wa lo to
그래도 그거 뭔가 소수의 레라니 베레톱 총소야도 아니 레라 거기 단다디 텐데나라 디어레 지기 tumitu마 펜스데 디 나라 갈세고 케바 주펜지기 레데 에베 솔데네 아니 베 콜로 교이 잡으지라 베 깨게니 레투미치 펜바 텐데 삼담도 근데 제 텐데 두아 수수 다 냐는 거니 펜바 당제니 베 사상제네 텐데 뉴라타자야 뉴라타에 메게 말와 콤비다 말와 레데
개바 가는 것이 개바지
개바 주 펜지기리 지로와 디 고유동 겨 펜지리라 그 콜로 교이 잡고 내 겨 펜지리라 니베 손대 정도 니베 니 가주려는 거야 내 그기로야 내 그기 맞아 내 때리면서 해요 와 니부지 떡지고는 샤바체지 니가 레테도 그게 레테도 오늘 콘도 돼야 배 여러와 나야 괜찮다.
So, when we talk about karma or action, karmic action, what you said is, what you said is true. It could be, it could change suffering. Not only that, you can change it, you can transform it, you can eliminate those karmic actions that you have created before, or divert it to kind of in such a way that it can bring maybe another result. We find like such as creations of positive karmic actions in kind of maybe like 10 eons, and then you use that for attaining maybe a universal kind of like a monarch or king or something, and you created karma, the one that you can be also purified. So there are many. I mean, there are all of those options out there, and the first reason, of course, there is because when we look at the nature of the karmic action, the karma itself, it is by nature impermanent. So what it means is it can be by nature changeable to any kind of directions, including changing of the suffering or eliminations of suffering. Chigi kare chigi pen. In the text, the appreciation to dependent origination, we find in related to karmic action, one karmic action bringing one karmic result, many karmic action bringing in one karmic result, and one karmic action bringing many different results. So we see all different kinds of the karmic action yielding to different kinds of result. Students. Shalve Sede Bado Zenjuji Jambe Pawu Chidra Kemba Zang Kundu Sambu Diyan Deshin Deda Kungi Gyawa Deda Tamje Rabdu Rizum Shabe Gyawa Tamje Gi Mowa Kangwa Chodo Ngaba Dandaji Dikun Ja Sambu Chunji Rabdu Ngowa Ki in the land and circle past white mountains. The source of all happiness and benefit flows in your person, generously tensing to remain until samsara ends. Just as the Bodhisattva usually attain omniscience and Samandabhacha too, so now I to dedicate these merits to train and follow in their footsteps. As all the victorious Buddhas of past, present, and future praise dedication to the Supreme, so now I do dedicate these source of my merit for all beings to perfect good actions.